Hello guys, this is Ishmael from 90-Second Web Hub. In this tutorial, we are going to take a look at how to create a panel navigation. So to show you what I mean, I'm going to click on this icon, and as you can see, we have a panel layer shows here. When I click outside it, it goes back. Now let's take a look at how to achieve this in 90-Second Website Builder. So I'm going to open my 90-Second Website Builder, and then there are a couple of tools I will need to achieve that. So first of all, I'm going to come to my toolbox, and then I'm going to locate my font or some icon. So I'll need an icon to control the panel layer. So let me just bring that here, reduce the size of it a bit, and then let me double click on it to select a favorite or a desired icon I'll be using to control or to serve as my menu. I'm going to scroll down a bit. Let me just locate something and look for bars. So I'll be using that's bars here. I'll go ahead and hit on OK. Next, I'm going to come back to my toolbox. Let me clear this, and then I'm going to get a text tool as well. So I'm going to double click on it, and then I'm going to enter menu. So let me just highlight over this and then increase the size of it a bit to about 14 pixels. So 14 pixels is okay. Let me keep it a bit closer to my icon here. So let me change the size of my icon to about 35 by 35 pixels. And then let me keep my text a bit closer to it. Now what I'm going to do next is to come back to my toolbox, and then I'm going to locate the layer tool. Now I'll come to the layer tool, and then I'll click on it, and then I'm going to draw in here. So let me just expand this a bit. I'm going to expand this to the width of my page, which should be about 970 pixels. And then I'm going to change the color of it. So let me just double click on this, come to style, and then I'm going to change the color of my layer. That is, I'm going to select this black. Let me come back to general and set the alignment to center. I'll go ahead and then come to the mode section where I'm going to change it to actually be a panel layer. So I'll click on the drop down by mode, and then I'm going to select panel layer. So I'll go ahead and select panel layer, and then it changes the option I have in here. So I want the display mode to be push, and position I would want it to be at the top, animation I would want it to slide, and then easing I'm going to leave it on linear. Now the duration is going to be 200, and then I'm going to make this dismissible. So I'll go ahead and hit on OK, and then as you can see I have my panel layer here. What I'm going to do next is to come back to my toolbox, and then I'm going to put in some CSS navigation to be able to have some navigation in the panel layer. So I'll come to CSS menu, and then I'm going to draw that here. Let me just double click on this, come to style, and then change the color, that's the text color, to white so that it can be seen. And I'll come to the background, I'll change that to white. The hover should also be white here, and then I'll go ahead and hit on OK. Let me go ahead and move this into my layer in here. Let me just double click on this, come back to text, that is style, and then the text section, I'm going to change this to black, and just change this to black so that it stays visible. So as you can see, I have that visible in here. Now what I'm going to do next is to change the ID or rename this particular layer. So I'll come to my property inspector, making sure I have my layer selected, and then I'm going to change this to nav, and then I'll keep it here. Now what I'm going to do next is to be able to add some events to this particular object I have in here, that is the text as well as my icon, to be able to show this particular layer anytime I click on them. So I'm going to double click on my font or some icon, and then I'm going to come to the event section. I'll come to add, and then the event is going to be on click. Now when I select on click, what should happen? I want this particular layer to show. So I'll come to the action section. There are a couple of actions which I can choose, but the one which is going to work with this particular layer, that's the panel layer, is going to be show. So I'll go ahead and select show, and then my target. So my target is going to be the nav layer, which is what I have here. And then I'll go ahead and hit on OK, and then hit on OK. Now I'm going to go ahead to preview this in my browser. So I'll hit on the preview, and then this shows up in my browser. By default, the layer isn't going to show. The reason is because it is a panel layer. Now it is going to be controlled by events which I have applied to my icon in here. So when I click on this, as you can see, it shows, and then when I click outside, it goes away because I checked dismissible. Now I want to apply the same event to my text here. So I'm going to come back to my project, and then I'm going to right click on my text, and then I'm going to come to object properties. I'm going to come to the event section, and then I'll hit on add. I'll leave the event on click. The action is also going to be on show, and then my target is going to be my nav, that is my navigation layer. So I'll go ahead and select OK, and then preview this again in my browser. So when I hit on this, as you can see, it shows. But in this instance, not everyone will know that there is a link, or when we click on this particular text, something is supposed to happen. So what we are going to do is to be able to change the cursor type when we hover over this particular text here. So I'm going to come back to my project, and then I'm going to right click on my text, and then this time around I'm going to come to object HTML. I'm going to come to custom style, and then I'm going to put some code in here. So I'm going to type cursor, and then I'm going to change this to pointer. So I'll make sure I have this rightly done here. So the cursor is going to be pointer, and then let me just increase the size a bit so you can see what I have in here. So the cursor, as you can see, then I have my colon, pointer, as well as semicolon. I'll go ahead and hit on OK, and then I'm going to preview this again once again in my browser. So as you can see, I have that previewed here, and when I hover over this, you see it shows me the pointer cursor, which makes me know that this is actually a link or something, or when I click on it, something is supposed to happen. So that is how to create your own panel navigation with 90-second website builder. Thank you very much for watching. Bye for now.